Can you clarify for me exactly what this next step means to you? I
For
mean,
me,
are
and that's a great question, by the way, and I'm glad you asked that. For me, we know that with all these particular engines, Unreal, what have you, they have taken the next step as far as not just visually, well, we think visually, but also with like how the game is particularly designed. As an example, Cyberpunk, I'm not saying that was supposed to be an MMO, it never was. But like even from the RPG perspective, we were sold that it was going to be the next gen RPG. It was supposed to be like this life almost simulator. Now a lot of that stuff didn't end up making the game once it came out, but that's more or less what I'm thinking when I think like the next gen. So when you play it, we know every time Grand Theft Auto comes out, as an example, we see it and it has this new thing that's a part of it, and we're like, well, this really, we haven't seen this in a game before. Now for maybe action RPGs in general, we've seen, I don't want to say maybe stagnation, maybe arguably, maybe it's not necessarily a step back, but it hasn't taken the next step from like having key aspects of the game that we are like, we have never seen this before, and then it sets the tone for the generations to come and the next development for various games or the genre overall. That's more or less what I mean when I say next gen or the next big thing and taking the next step.
Well, I'll tell you, when World of Warcraft came out, there were so many copycats. It was so funny because they
Yes.
would even copy some of our mistakes, and the genre stagnated. And I think what happened was WoW killed it. WoW came in and was the dominating thing, and we used to have so many more interesting MMOs before World of Warcraft, right?
Okay.
The original Star Wars MMO, very different type of sandboxy game, right? Completely different. We had PlanetSide, which was billed at an MMO at the time, where you had these massive battles going around the server. And we had so many experiments. Ultima Online, also a very different type of game. And when WoW came out, everyone said, oh, that's the way you do it. And nobody wanted to fund anything that was different.
Okay.
They said,
That
give
makes
us
sense.
WoW. And that was the problem for even my own company, where the owners were like, give us WoW. And I would be like, no. And if you try to copy WoW, you're doomed to failure. You're going to stagnate, and we need to innovate. We need to push MMOs into the next boundaries. The problem is MMOs are some of the most expensive games.
That's what I
you can
figured. Okay.
Activision has said if you were to try to do World of Warcraft today, it would cost $1 billion.
Jesus.
$1 billion. Not, that would be one of the most expensive game ever made. And I what's driving the cost here is not just the complexity of the MMO, but also the amount of content you have to provide.
Yeah.
And that has to change. And there's ways to change that. And also the art explosion.